Good day and welcome to our Week 10 class for Purposive Communication. Again, this is your instructor, Shalal Galapi Bilianes. So for this week, we'll be talking about communication for work purposes with the focus on presenting and communicating ideas. Okay, so before that, I want you to familiarize our today's discussion. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to present ideas persuasively using appropriate language, gestures, tone, facial expressions, and gestures. Also, this will help you to adopt awareness of audience and context in presenting and communicating ideas. So without further ado, let's get this lesson started. So first off, I want you to think of the time wherein you were given a task to say something or to deliver a speech in front of many people. Or probably you were tasked by your teacher to deliver a report in front of your classmates. Right? Think of that moment and think also of your common reactions every time that you hear that task. Are you that type of person who would normally get scared, right? And you would automatically feel butterflies in your stomach and you think that, oh no, I can't do it. Or are you that type of person who is so negative enough that you think you really cannot do it and all you feel is that you're just about to cry? Okay, because you think you really cannot get through it. Or are you that kind of person who is so good with that idea of delivering a speech to a lot of people because you think you're so confident enough and you are given the privilege to speak out your ideas, opinions, or you voice out whatever you want to inform other people? Or are you that type of person who is kind of wondering, what are you going to write? What are you going to deliver? How are you going to go about it? You're kind of positive that you can, but you're just wondering. So if you're that type of person, then this video is definitely for you. Okay, so what are the things that we need to consider when we are given the task to deliver a speech in front of the crowd? First off, again, we go back to the basic principle that I had discussed with you on our week 1 lesson. That is, you have to think of your audience. If you are given the privilege to deliver an inspirational talk for the graduates, for example, you have to consider them, right? You can say, or you can try to recall the time wherein you were a teenager before and you experienced some challenges and how did you overcome them? That is something that you're going to focus on, and that's something that you're going to relate in your speech. Okay, if you're going to do that, if you are going to think about your audience, then your audience can relate to what you're saying. And if they can relate to what you're saying, they can understand you very well. Okay, next, you also have to consider the logistics. Okay, it's imperative for you to know who are the people who would be talking before your speech and after your speech. Why is that so? So that you can somehow connect the ideas of their talk to your talk. You know, stitching some ideas together would really make a lot of difference. And when we're talking about logistics, you also have to consider the venue. Are you going to deliver a speech in a gymnasium, in an auditorium, in a virtual setup? Okay. If so, what are the facilities that you will be needing? If so, what are the equipment that you need to incorporate so that you can maximize your speech? So all those things you have to bear in mind. And also you have to check out if the facilities that you can use are also there or are also present in the venue where you are going to have your speech. So those are the things that you need to consider. Next, this is very important. This is the meat of the matter. You have to know and you have to consider your content. I always believe that you cannot give what you do not have. So in delivering or in making sure that your content is suited, you have to make some research, of course. We're going to talk about it later. Okay, so you have to consider the content of your report, speech, or your lecture. You have to know a lot of that so that you can deliver it properly, effectively, and efficiently. Okay, now talking about that, we have again a question: how do we prepare for the big event? First off, like I mentioned earlier, you need to read a lot. If you're going to deliver an informative speech, you have to make sure that you have done a research about it. You can incorporate statistics. If you want to inform some people, you can incorporate research-based information. That way, you are providing your audience or your listeners with accurate information. Okay. Next, you have also to prepare the body of your speech. In preparing the body of your speech, you have to write a draft or probably an outline of what your introduction would be, your body, and your conclusion. And again, when you're trying to write it down, you have to reflect there whatever information that you have researched about. Okay, and make sure also that your introduction and your conclusion and your body as well should be stitched together. In our previous lesson, we also already talked about how we can write, introductions that are powerful enough to magnetize your listeners' attention. So you incorporate those tips that we talked about last time. Okay, also you have to rehearse by practicing aloud. All of us actually need to practice. No matter how good you are in terms of speaking, you still have to practice. Okay, more so if you think that you're not confident when you're talking. So you have to rehearse by practicing aloud. Usually I do it if I am tasked, if I'm given the privilege to talk. What I do is that I talk, I rehearse it in front of the mirror, and I say it out loud. Sometimes I would even record it on my phone or record it in a video so that I can honestly evaluate among myself if what are the things that I need to improve. And when you're evaluating, you have to be honest enough in trying to pinpoint what are the things that you need to improve when you're delivering a speech. Do you think you need to improve on your eye contact? Do you think you need to improve on your facial expression, your gestures, and so on? So you can evaluate yourself by having those tips. Again, you can rehearse out loud, not talk to the mirror, but rehearse in front of the mirror and record it. Okay? And be honest in evaluating the things that you need to improve. Also, you have to maximize your use of technology. Right now, there are a lot of editing apps that you can use when you're presenting. So in my case, I am using PowerPoint presentation in having my presentations in my speeches. Also, you can try to edit your work using a lot of online apps available. Okay, so yeah, maximize the use of technology. But again, when you're maximizing the use of technology, do not forget and do not compromise you as the speaker, because at the end of the day, you are still the most important part of your speech. You are the one who can either make or break your speech. Also, when you're delivering your speech, you have to consider the following. First, your paralinguistic cues. What do we mean by paralinguistic cues? These are gestures, these are facial expressions, your posture, your eye contact that you are using alongside with your verbal expression, okay, or verbal language. So, facial expression can help relay the message to your audience. For example, if you are relating an anecdote, right, and you want your audience to somehow imagine the experience or the situation that you're relating to. So if you're doing that, you have to animate yourself, and you should avoid having a monotone face, all right? Like your poker face, rather. Say poker face, it seems that you don't have any emotion at all. Okay, so if that's the case, you're just like a robot. And I tell you, no one will be enticed to listen to you if that's the case. So you have to improve your facial expression. You have to improve your posture as well when you're delivering the speech. Like we have mentioned in our previous lesson, it's very important that when you're delivering a speech, you have to stand. And when you stand, do it in a way that you are confident enough. Be confident when you stand, because I have noticed, especially for those students who are tasked to deliver a report, if most of the time they would, as if they would stick themselves on the board, or they would lean their back on the wall. Okay, that only shows that you are not confident. And if you are giving an impression to your audience that you are not confident, you are not building trust and you're not building credibility among yourself. Okay, so you have to be confident enough. And also, the third one shows that you need also to improve your eye contact. Improving your eye contact would also help you to know your audience. If you think, your audience are your automatic feedback, whether your speech is good or not. So if you think that they are restless already, if you think that they are just checking on their phone, meaning you're not successful enough to captivate their attention. And with that gives you a clue that automatically you have to do something as a speaker. Okay? All right, next, you also have to consider your prosodic features. What do we mean by prosodic features? They include the way you pronounce the words and the way you enunciate the words. When we say pronunciation, you're talking about how you pronounce each word, okay? And when you say enunciate, it's talking about actually encapsulate or bigger umbrella of pronunciation. So when you enunciate, meaning you are pronouncing it as well, you are making your statements clear enough to your audience. Okay, so that's the difference between pronunciation and enunciation. Also, that includes the accent that you're using, the stress, intonation, and stress and intonation when you are speaking. Okay, so those are your prosodic features. When you are speaking, it's very important that you have to make sure of their pronunciation, because again, at the end of the day, pronunciation would give clarity to your message. For example, in the word ceremony, okay, a lot of people would say ceremony, right? But you have to know that it's not ceremony, but ceremony, something like that. In that case, you're talking about pronunciation. You're trying to pronounce a certain word. When you say, again, enunciate, you are trying to pronounce not just one word, but the statements correctly and clearly. Okay? Next, I have also here some tips for you to conquer your stage fright. I got these tips from Anxiety and Depression Association of America. So they have come up with 10 tips that definitely can help you and me to conquer our fright when we are having a speech. First off is it's really needed for you to shift your focus from yourself and your fear to your true purpose. What is your true purpose? Is it to inspire other people? If so, focus on that aspect. Not too much on yourself, not too much on your fear. Okay? Next, stop scaring yourself with thought about what might go wrong. This is the common mistake of a lot of people. They are too bothered enough to think, oh, I'm so scared. Maybe I will mispronounce a word, or maybe I will forget something along the way, or maybe I will just be a laughing stock to a lot of people. Like they will just laugh at me. So they are so scared of those negative thoughts that it tries to hinder them from trying to speak and deliver a speech. So we should avoid that. We should avoid that thinking. We have to stop that thinking because it can just ruin you. Okay? Next, refuse to think thoughts that create self-doubt and low confidence. Sometimes other people would say, I think I cannot do this because when I tried that before, I just failed, right? They are just looking back at the moments of their life when they had failed in such aspect. So if you keep on thinking of that thought, definitely you'd get scared. And if you get scared, you think you can't do it. Okay? Next, practice ways to calm and relax your mind. You can do some yoga or meditation, or just simply turning on or listening to music that you think can calm you down. Okay? They can help you a lot too. Also, you have to exercise, eat well, and practice other healthful lifestyle habits. Avoid caffeine. Why? Too much consumption of caffeine, according to research, elevates your stress hormone. Okay? They elevate your cortisol, that is responsible of elevating your stress level too. So avoid drinking alcoholic drinks and caffeine as well, such as coffee. Okay, so you have to avoid that one. What else? Visualize your success. This would give you a positive thinking. This will open up your optimism. Okay, think about that. Think about the fact that if you will be able to do it, to do your best, then your talk would be successful. Think about that. Focus on that one. Okay, next, prepare your material in advance. Like we have mentioned earlier, you have to read in advance. You have to prepare the content of your speech. Because if you are prepared, you will fear nothing, right? Because you know your content a lot. Okay, but if you're not prepared, then you would cram. You would not be as confident as you are if you have prepared it. Next, you have to make connections with your audience. Okay, like I told you earlier, try to look at your audience. Are they already bored? If you think they're already bored, then do something. Okay, try to connect with them. You can connect with them by relating experiences of yours where they can relate to. And from that, you can build your speech. Okay, next, stand or sit confidently. Don't show to other people that you're not too confident, that you're not confident enough. Okay, you have to remain warm and maintain eye contact. Next, give up trying to be perfect and know that it is okay to make mistakes. Yes, it is true. A lot of people would say, oh, I will be a speaker, I should not make mistakes. No, okay? No one in this world can say that he or she is perfect. No one can say that he or she is a perfect speaker. It's okay to make mistakes, right? But in that mistake that you have done, be honest enough also to admit that you have made mistake and do something to correct it. Always always be open enough to the fact that we all have our own rooms for improvement. Okay? And yeah, there you go. So as a recap, what are the things that we need to do in order to prepare for the big event and to conquer our stage fright? Number one, shift our focus from ourselves and our fear to our true purpose. Stop scaring ourselves with negative thoughts. Refuse to think thoughts that create self-doubt and low confidence. What else? You also have to exercise, eat well, and practice healthful lifestyle habits. Visualize your success, prepare your material in advance, make connections with your audience, stand or sit confidently, and give up trying to be perfect. Allow mistakes, because through that, mistakes are like stones, right? Out of that stones that you have committed, try to step on those stones so that you can reach a higher success, a higher milestone in your life. Okay, so I guess that covers everything for our week 10 lesson. Here are my references, and I'm going to see you again next week.